Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
It's the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Prograis.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 256 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm all alone this week. Truth be told, I actually did record most of this show with Eddie Chambers and the whole thing had sound issues, so we had to delete the whole hour and 20 minutes of it. So it's just me and it was a real shame. Real bad technical issues this week. Hopefully they're behind us now. I don't think the show's going to go on too long though, to be completely honest. There's a little bit of reviewing to do. There's not much news at all, if any, and there's a little bit of previewing. So let's dive straight into the review part of the show. Of course, we're going to start here at the Park Studios, the Production Park Studios in Yorkshire, United Kingdom. This one was on Channel 5 on Saturday night. The European champion, the EBU European Super-Featherweight champion, Samir Ziani, 31-3 with a draw. A win for him, a 12th round TKO win against Alex Dilmagani, who's now 19-2 with a draw. A good fight, a really good fight, and there was drama because he got that stoppage in the 12th round, but he was behind on two cards, I believe. So he needed that stoppage there, Samir Ziani. So the champion, defends the belt successfully, he remains champion. And Dilmagani, throughout the fight, was cut below his right eye in the 6th round. And like I say, he was down twice in that 12th and final round. Ziani also was cut on his right eye in the 9th. On the undercard, we got to see Isaac Chamberlain move to 12-1. It's his second fight in 2 weeks. It's been a quick turnaround for him after 2 years of inactivity. He got a win against Matt Sen, who's now 5-3. Matt Sen, I think, got in there on short notice, very short notice. So a TKO in the very first round there for Isaac Chamberlain. A barrage of big, clean uppercuts kind of finished off Matt Sen. But to be completely fair to him, he didn't go down. He stayed on his feet despite Isaac Chamberlain landing real flush on the chin. Also on the undercard, an upset. Mick Hennessy Jr., 4-0 with a draw going in. He lost his a points loss over 6 rounds to Jamie Stewart, who was actually 1-0. So 58-56 from the referee Mark Lyson in favour there of Jamie Stewart, now 2-0. Mick Hennessy Jr. looked to be real disappointed afterwards. Let's move out now stateside to the bubble in the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, Nevada. On the undercard, friend of the show, he was on a couple weeks ago, Jared Anderson, the heavyweight, now 6-0, still got that 100% KO percentage. 6-0, 6 KOs, a TKO for him in round 4 against Rodney Hernandez. Wins also on the undercard for Jesse Bam Rodriguez. That is the brother of Joshua Franco. He's now 12-0. A win against Jamil Rivera, who is now 18-7 with 3 draws. A first round TKO, by the way, there for Jesse Rodriguez. He had his opponent Rivera down 3 times in the first round. Got him out there in the first, like I say. Also a win for Steven Nelson. He's now 17-0. A TKO for him in 6 rounds against DeAndre Ware. That was a good win there for Steven Nelson. Ware now 13-3 with 2 draws. And the main event, of course, everybody's surely a respecter, a fan, supporter. You just can't help but admire Jamel Herring. However, it wasn't all all his own way. I don't know. It wasn't all plain sailing, let's say. He defended his WBO World Super-Featherweight title against Jonathan Oquendo. Of course, everyone knows the backstory. This is the 3rd time the fight was scheduled, and he won, but it was a disqualification win for Jamel Herring after 8 rounds. Oquendo was down once in the 3rd round, and he had a point deducted for for use of the head. Now, here's where it gets technical. It was quite bizarre, like I say. So this is pretty much the timeline. Oquendo used his head numerous times in the fight. Tony Weeks, the referee, gave him a telling off, stuff like that, warned him several times, took a point off. And during one of the head clashes, Oquendo managed to open a cut on Jamel Herring's right eye. And basically what happened was Jamel Herring continued on with the fight. And then after the 8th round, he went back to his corner. And it wasn't really an easy round for Jamel Herring. It seemed like, I don't want to say the tide was turning. No way. But what I will say is that he wasn't winning the rounds easily. It was getting quite rough and tumble in there. Oquendo's not a boxer. He's a brawler. He came to put the pressure on. It was turning into a little bit of a untidy, messy, kind of rough house type of fight. And Jamel Herring goes back to his corner and he says, "I can't see." So the doctor gets up on the apron and he says, "What do you mean? You can't see?" And Jamel Herring saying, "I can't see." So the doctor speaks to the referee. Tony Weeks pretty much said, "Look, it's your decision." To the doctor, he said, "It's up to you, I can't stop it, it's up to you. If you've got the power to stop it also." And the doctor kind of didn't want to stop it. He seemed a little bit hesitant. He was speaking to Tony Weeks. Tony Weeks said, "I can't really help you, it's your decision." And the doctor said, "Okay, seeing as Jamel Herring can't see, I'm going to stop the fight." Then Tony Weeks goes to inform the commission, who are ringside, and he says to them, "Okay, the fight is going to stop here. He can't see. We're not going to go to the scorecards. Jamel Herring automatically wins because the headbutt was intentional." So the commission are a bit confused. They're arguing with Tony Weeks. They're saying, "But, we need to go to the scorecards. I don't understand." Tony Weeks is saying, "No, it doesn't go to the scorecards, blah, blah, blah." Manny Robles, obviously the former trainer of Andy Ruiz Jr., he was doing the commentary that I was listening to, and he said, if Oquendo's already had a point deducted for those headbutts, how can you punish him once again a couple rounds later for it? It makes no sense. You can't punish the guy twice for the same offence. Which made sense to me. But anyway, they had to go and get the rule book out. They were, this is all going on for about 5 minutes. Oquendo's in the other corner, not knowing what the hell's going on. He's shadow boxing. He seems real frustrated. He wants to continue. And yeah, after about 5 minutes of back and forth, no one really knew what was going on. And then, it gets announced as a disqualification. So Tony Weeks actually disqualified Oquendo. And I really can't shed any light on this because it just seems so bizarre. I think it probably should have gone to the scorecards. But by the way, even if it did, Jamel Herring was winning a shutout on 2 of them, and I think he only lost 1 round on the other one. So yeah, but it was a rough and tumble fight, and Jamel Herring even kind of said in the post-fight interview, he said it wasn't the statement he planned on making. He wanted to make a big statement. He wanted to fly into that Carl Frampton fight with some real momentum, but it wasn't that type of fight at all. He wasn't very impressive, throughout the fight. And he kind of shifted the blame a little bit onto his corner, saying, my corner told me it's the best thing to do to stop the fight, or something like that. He tried to kind of shift the blame a little bit. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. Christina Poncha, credit to her. She again was doing the commentary with Manny Robles, and she was kind of speaking her mind, really. She's I think pretty good friends with Jamel, but she was saying some stuff, and I thought, well, okay, she was just speaking her mind. She felt that Jamel Herring was really trying to shift the blame and stuff like that, and it is what it is. But I just think myself that Jamel probably saw a way out of the fight and took it, really. He was still going to get the same money. What's the point in fighting another bunch of rounds for free? But some people look at that as, he quit. And some people look at it as, well, it's a smart thing to do, But it wasn't the statement he wanted to make. He ended up in the hospital after the fight. I've spoken to him briefly. He says he's okay, and we plan to speak soon. So he may end up on this show. Who knows? I'm recording this. I'm going to be honest. I'm recording this on a Tuesday. So he may end up on this podcast later on, or perhaps not. If not, then perhaps we'll get him on next week. But anyway, that's the bubble in the MGM Grand. Moving out now to the final card to mention from last week. It took place on Sunday, Sunday, September 6th at the Microsoft Theatre in Los Angeles. The bill was topped by Yordenis Ugas against Abel Ramos. It ended in a split decision over 12 rounds for Ugas. He's the new WBA welterweight world champion. A bit of a strange one, really. I didn't see it, but, you know, one scorecard said one thing, another scorecard said the other thing. I think a lot of people were criticising the scorecards afterwards, so I'm not quite sure what happened. Let me know if I've missed something really spectacular. Let me know. But all I can say is I expected Ugas to win. I'm kind of happy for him now because I felt like he was quite underrated, really. He's got some solid wins. He is one of the danger mans in the welterweight division. On his night, he gives absolutely everyone trouble. And now he's got a belt. Now people are going to want to fight him, whereas before I think he was a little bit avoided. On the undercard as well, just a quick mention to former world title challenger Batir Akhmedov. He's now 8-1. Obviously, I mentioned on last week's show, he's the guy that boxed Mario Barrios in a brilliant fight, one of the best fights of 2019. He came back here with a first round KO against Ray Perez, who's now 24-12. Perez was down twice in that first round. But that's everything, though, for the review part of the show. Just before we wrap it up, the final thing to do is to welcome our first guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated super-middleweight prospect. It is, of course, Mr. Willy Hutchinson. Willy, it's been a while. Welcome back on the show, my friend.
Yes, thank you very much.
It's absolutely
my
pleasure. Very well. How are you?
Yes, good. I'm fighting in just that Saturday, gone 3 weeks again, so I'm back in the ring, and hopefully I think it's a title as well, so I'm looking forward to fighting now.
Excellent stuff.
I boxed my last fight a week ago Saturday as well, and I've never come out the gym. I come back and I come straight back into camp.
Nice one.
In fact, I boxed that night and I went and done a run. The same night I boxed.
What, around Stratford, yeah?
To be honest with you, actually, it was either that there or the fella let me in the gym in the hotel, so it actually worked out perfect for me, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, excellent, man.
And it worked out perfect for me, so, yeah.
Nice one, Willy. So, like I say, we last spoke in May of 2018. It was a long time ago now, just before you were boxing. Journeyman tough guy Adam Jones, obviously you beat him. Since then you've picked up another 8 more wins. Let's just speak about, obviously you mentioned your most recent one, just over a week ago against Ben Thomas. I think he came in at obviously short notice. Wasn't your fault, obviously.
That's right.
It didn't take you long to get rid of him though. A nice quick one there for you, Willy.
Listen, I just had to do what I had to do, innit? I trained I've been training really, really hard. I've been eating the right stuff, doing the right training. I'm also making my new weight, 12 stone. And listen, going into that fight, if it was him or King Kong, the same would have happened, whoever I was fighting that night. I was just up and ready to rock and roll. And it's going to be the same thing on the 20... I think it's the 26th.
26th, it is.
So... It's going to be the same story, do you know what I mean? It's going to be a whitewash again. Whoever they put in front of me, I'm going to knock down.
And Willy, I want to ask you, what was it like for you to box with no crowds? I know that obviously the fight didn't last too long, so I'm not sure how much you really realised it. But I remember even coming to your pro debut, and we had I was sat like in the front row, whatever, and I remember loads and loads of Scottish fans there, having a wild time.
Yeah, that's right.
And what's it like for you having, not having that support?
Yeah, listen, you know what it is? In the amateurs, I boxed millions of times where there was no one, do you know what I mean? Just judges and referees, and that was it. As the amateurs, so to be honest with you, it was no different to what I've done before, do you know? So, to be honest with you, when you go for a fight and you're in that ring, you couldn't care less who's there, do you know what I mean? As long as you just get the job done, it doesn't matter. It was... Do you know what I mean? I enjoyed it. In fact, it was nice. I enjoyed it. It was something different.
And obviously, you mentioned it's a quick turnaround for yourself. You'll be back out 2 weeks this Saturday. You'll obviously have to make the super middleweight limit in this fight here. You mentioned it's probably going to be for a belt. I think it's going to be for the IBF European title. No opponent just yet, though, Willy, it sounds like.
No opponents just yet. No, I've got no opponents just now. It's just I'm just still waiting on who they're going to bring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to say, it's obviously going to be on the Josh Taylor undercard September 26th at the BT Sports Studios.
Exactly.
Are you excited just to kind of be on Josh's undercard? Because obviously, you know, there's so many English fighters, so many Welsh fighters.
Yeah.
In Scotland, perhaps they don't really get the credit for having great fighters. Many people would say Josh Taylor's the best pound-for-pound fighter in Britain. You're obviously a big talent from Scotland. It's a great night of boxing for Scottish fight fans.
For Scottish fans especially, I mean, it's an unbelievable night for boxing, isn't it? I mean, Josh Taylor and me, obviously from Scotland, and we're both fighting on the same night, so it's massive, yeah. And obviously Josh Taylor's leading the flag for Scotland just now, do you know what I mean? He's the number one, he is the main man, he's the one we're all looking up to, he's got what we all want. So obviously, it'll be great, it'll be great to fight the same undercard as him, and be... You know what I mean? It's good. Scottish boxing's on its rise, isn't it?
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm thoroughly looking forward to that. And of course, yourself, you're being mentioned amongst some of the other super middleweight talents in Britain. I think about a week ago or something, you made a comment about Lerone Richards. There's so many guys in the super middleweight division in Britain. We're really lucky at the minute. When will we see you boxing some of these guys, Willie? It seems like you want it, but we're not sure when it's going to happen.
Listen, you just got to wait and see. Do you know what I mean? If it was down to me, I would have fought these men already. But it's not down to me. It's down to my team, my manager, and my coach. And I've got to listen to what they've got to tell me. Do you know what I mean? I would fight them men any time. I'd fight them now, for God's sake. I'd fight them this weekend. It wouldn't make a difference to me. I'd beat them all anyway. Do you know what I mean? I'd beat them all anyway. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Do you know?
And you mentioned...
I don't know what's happening. I've just got to take my time. I'm only 22 as well. Do you know?
Yeah. No, definitely.
I'm only 22, and obviously they know better than what I do. What do I know? Do you know what I mean? The only thing I know how to do is fight and win. And that's it.
And you mentioned your team there. If I'm not mistaken, you're still being sort of co-promoted by Richard Schaefer's Ringstar Promotions. Yeah. Is there a plan, Willie, to get you fighting in the States at all?
Yeah, of course he is. Obviously, all this crazy stuff's happened, but of course there's a plan of me fighting over there and boxing over here and doing my thing over here. But when there's a chance I can go over there and fight, of course it is. You know what I mean? Open arms to anything.
And obviously, sorry to cut you off. Go on.
No, yeah, it's just there'll be big plans of me going to America and having some big fights over there.
And again, obviously, you know, you don't know just yet who you're going to be fighting later this month, and it's kind of hard to tell in this current climate. You can't really tell what you're going to be doing after that. You never know what's going to happen with a fight. You never know what's going to happen with all this pandemic craziness. But is there like a plan in place just yet to, I guess, kind of progress you to the next step in your career just yet?
To be honest with you, just now, it's just getting fight by fight and just keep winning.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Just beat whoever they put in front of me. Whoever they put in front of me, I'm going to knock down. Simple as that.
And again, you've been with Dominic now for a long time. I think when we first spoke, I think you were quite fresh with Dominic, if I'm not mistaken. Right. You've got Liam Williams in the gym. You've got Kell Brook. You've got Kid Galahad. Is it working for you to be amongst other top fighters like that every day?
Yes, of course it does. It's iron sharpens iron, doesn't it? I'm a really big believer in that there. And watching the likes of them train and spar and fight and stuff like that there makes me want to have what they have. You know what I mean? It pushes me on. I want to be like them. In my head, I want to be like them. I want to be the best. You know what I mean? I want to be the best.
And also, Dominic isn't just a trainer. Fast car ready, catch him if you can. What's the gym's take and your take on Dom's singing career, Willie?
You know what it is? It's a good song, you know. He's brought out a couple of good songs. They've actually been really, really good. I'm not really a music person, do you know what I mean? So I couldn't really comment on it, but his songs I actually quite like. I think he should keep doing what he's doing, and then if he likes it, it's the main thing, do you know what I mean?
Will we see you use it for ring walk music at any point in the future, Willie?
Hey, you never know. You never know. If he makes a song about me, I will. 100%.
There you go. If
100%.
Dominic's listening to this, then he's got to put pen to paper and make a song about it.
Exactly. He's got to, hasn't he?
Ah, that's brilliant.
He's got to.
That's brilliant.
If he makes a one I really like, if I ever fought for a world title, I'd come out to it.
Ah, amazing.
That would be good, wouldn't
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it would. It would be good.
And just
Very good.
as we get to the end here, Willie, I just want to ask if you've got any closing words just to, I suppose, just our listeners, really, a lot of guys that listen to this are fans of yours. What's your message to your supporters during these tough times? Obviously, 2 back-to-back quick fights in quick succession.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's just stay safe and watch the Hurricane go to work on the 26th of this month. I'm ready to rock and roll, and I want to thank them all for still supporting me through this hard time. And yeah, thank you all.
Good man, Willie. Listen, it is always a pleasure speaking with you. I can't wait to witness your development over the coming years, and I'm sure we'll speak many more times in the future, my friend.
Yeah, good man. Good man. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. I'm not going to discuss the news right now because it seems like there's not really much going on, so I'm just going to dive straight into the preview part of the show. I will discuss the news at the very end if there is anything big that develops while the show is kind of, I guess, being recorded in that production stage. We're going to start here with a card that takes place tomorrow. Tomorrow, obviously, being Friday, September 11th, in Russia at the Kimiki Basketball Center. Top of the bill, Fedor Chudanov, former world champion, 22-2, takes on our very own Umar Sadiq, 10-1. That one is set to take place over 12 rounds. You know, it's a tough fight for Umar Sadiq. Let me be completely honest. Umar Sadiq, you know, a guy I've seen, I was there when he lost his O to Zach Chelly at the Brentwood Centre. And to be fair to him, he seems to have gone on from that and, you know, improved, because he come back, he beat Cody Davies. That was a brilliant win. It wasn't a landslide, it was still a close fight, but he beat Cody Davies, and you know, he obviously by beating Cody Davies, it was real impressive because Cody Davies had beaten Zach Chelly, who Umar Sadiq had lost to, so there's a bit of a weird triangle going on there. But anyway, Sadiq has just beaten Cody Davies. He's coming off his absolute best career win for sure, and he's taking on Fedor Chudanov. I just think it could be a little bit of a step too far. Obviously, there's not going to be crowds in Russia, which probably works in Sadiq's favour, because I can just picture the scene, a real hostile cauldron in Russia. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think there's going to be a crowd. But Fedor Chudanov, so much experience, you know, good amateur. Obviously, as a pro, I mentioned a former world champion. He's only got those 2 losses to Felix Sturm in a fight he should have won. That was very controversial. And then obviously he got beat by George Groves in a fight. If I remember correctly, I think he might have even been winning that fight. I can't remember, but he got stopped by George Groves. Other than that, he's a good fighter, you know. He's got tons and tons of experience. Good wins over Hassan and Dam. Good wins over the likes of... who else did he beat? He beat Najib Mohammadi, even though, you know, I think that was a bit controversial, actually. And yeah, he's just had good wins all around. I remember him beating Frank Buglioni. I remember when Frank Buglioni decked him when, you know, after the bell. He punched him and floored him after the bell. But anyway, it is what it is. Fedor Chudanov, very experienced. I just can't see a way Sadiq wins that one. I really can't. That's a tough fight there in Russia. But all the best to Sadiq. He is obviously a Brit, and I want him to win the fight. Moving out now to the BT Sports Studio, Stratford, London. This one to take place on Saturday. On the undercard, we get to see the return of Cedric Paynaud. The Frenchman returns to British shores. His record 8-7 with 3 draws. A lot of people will know the name because he gave Conor Ben fits, really. He takes on former English champion, I think he was former English champion, Eko Essuman. That one's for the IBF European welterweight title. Brilliant fight on the undercard as well. Mark Heffron, 25-1. That one loss came to Liam Williams. He takes on Denzel Bentley, the undefeated 13-0 fighter. That one's for the vacant IBF European middleweight title. Bentley, you know, this is kind of, I want to say, this is his step up. We'll get to see how good he is here, I think. Brilliant fight. If it was before the Liam Williams fight, everyone would have said Mark Heffron's going to win. A lot of people were picking Mark Heffron to beat Liam Williams at the time. And how crazy does that sound now to look back at that? But since his loss to Williams, a lot of people have jumped off that, that bandwagon, if you like. And I see a lot of people siding with Denzel Bentley. We shall see. Great fight. And the main event, the return to Britain anyway, for Anthony Yarde. He hasn't boxed in Britain for a while. It's got to be over a year now. He lost to Kovalev, I think it was last August, in Russia. And then he had that pointless kind of fight, really. He came back against a guy who had way more losses than wins in Spain. I don't think it was televised. I think he stopped him in a couple rounds, something like that. And now he's back here. He's taking on Dex Spellman, the very game and tough light heavyweight kind of, domestic level fighter, Dex Spellman. It's a 10-rounder. Spellman 16-4, Anthony Yarde 19-1. So both men have got 20 pro fights under their belt. I'm expecting Anthony Yarde to get him out there and make a statement that Lyndon Arthur couldn't do with the same opponent, Dex Spellman. Obviously, that fight that he had with Arthur wasn't too long ago. So I don't think he's overly fresh and healed properly. He took quite a few good shots in that fight. I think, Anthony Yarde's got the advantage because he's had a lot of time to prepare for this. Dex Spellman would have probably spent some time out of the gym and then he's straight back in. He's in another fight with Anthony Yarde. So I feel for Dex Spellman a little bit. He's getting served up here like a piece of meat, I guess. But Anthony Yarde and Lyndon Arthur are on this collision course, and they've both been fed the same opponent. Lyndon Arthur couldn't get him out of there. I said it right after the fight on this podcast. I said, if Anthony Yarde boxes Spellman, he will stop him. And then the fight got made, and I think he will stop him. So I'm excited to see what happens there. I like Dex Spellman, but I don't see him causing any problems really to Anthony Yarde. Moving out now to the bubble in the MGM Grand Las Vegas. This is the final card to mention. Starting with the undercard, I think we should start with. It's return to the ring for Egis Kavalauskas. Last really seen in a big fight when he lost to Terence Crawford in a good fight. I think, did he have Terence Crawford down in that fight? I think he may have. I can't remember now. I think he might have knocked him down. Not sure if it was ruled a knockdown. Anyway, good fighter, but he lost to Crawford, and Crawford managed to get him out of there in the 9th round. But he's back. It's his first time since, first time getting in the ring since that loss, which was at the back end of last year in December. And he takes on Mikhail Zuski, who's 34-1. A Canadian fighter. His one loss came to Konstantin Ponomarev. That's the Ukrainian fighter that I haven't really heard anything about for a couple of years, to be honest. But other than that, his record is quite inflated, I have to say. And that should be interesting. That one's for the vacant WBC Continental Americas welterweight title and the WBO NABO welterweight title. And the main event, Miguel Mariaga, 29-3, a big puncher, a tough guy, tough South American style if nothing else. And he takes on Joet Gonzalez, 23-1. Gonzalez coming off that loss to Shakur Stevenson. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson's still dating his sister or not, but anyway, he returns to the ring, 23-1, and like I say, he's got a tough task here against Miguel Mariaga. Some people like to kind of disrespect him, stuff like that. They forget he's only lost 3 fights, and they were to Vasily Lomachenko, where he did get stopped in 7 rounds. He lost to Oscar Valdez on points, and he lost to Nicholas Walters on points. Let me tell you, not many people went the distance with Nicholas Walters, by the way. Talking of guys that disappeared. But, it's a good fight. I remember Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be boxing Miguel Mariaga. I think it was earlier on this year. It might have been, I think it was in his first defence. Obviously the fight didn't end up happening. I'm not quite sure what happened with it. But people weren't happy with that. But in a bizarre way, he ended up, boxing Joet Gonzalez. It might have been the fight before that. I don't know. Basically what I'm getting at is Shakur Stevenson was supposed to box Mariaga. He didn't. And now his former opponent is boxing him. His girlfriend's brother. It's a bizarre one. It is boxing. You should be used to it by now. Anyway, that is it for the preview part of the show. We brought you the review part earlier on. We brought you a guest. I've just done the preview part there. If there is any news that develops from now until the end of the show, then I'll speak about that at the very end. The final thing to do, just before we wrap up all the talking, is to welcome our second and final guest on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the reigning WBO Super-Featherweight World Champion, hot off his fight on Saturday night. It is, of course, Mr. Jamel Herring. Jamel, welcome back on the show, my man.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me back, bro. How's it going?
All going well, my friend. Always a pleasure speaking with you. So we last spoke in April, Jamel. At that time, you kind of expected to hopefully be going straight into the Frampton fight. Coronavirus then messed everything up, didn't it? And
man. You said the fact that you just said last time we spoke was April. I was like, man, it's been a long year, man. It's been a rough year.
Yeah, man. I mean, over an interview anyway, April. Let's start with that. Obviously, the fight was cancelled twice due to you failing these coronavirus tests. Just tell us what happened, because it seemed to be a real confusing situation, especially for us over here.
Well, I know for a fact, at the end of June, I had it. I know for a fact I had the virus, but by the time July 3rd came around, I had tested negative again. So when the fight was rescheduled for July 14th, heading into that fight week, I thought I was cleared because I already tested negative before even going into that fight. When I got to Las Vegas, that's when I had tested positive again. But in the same week, I went to go get tested again, and my test came back negative. So it's been like a crazy up and down situation in terms of my health and these coronavirus tests. But afterwards I had to wait another 6 to 7 weeks before I can get back into the ring, and it just feels like it's been like a long, dragging and draining process just to get me in the ring at all.
Yeah, not to mention obviously the challenge of trying to get your body to peak at the right time. It's just physically impossible with all this going on. Obviously the fight.
You got to think about it. You got to also think about it. When I was supposed to fight in July, I was already at 129 pounds. So I made weight just for me not to fight. Yeah. Then I had to make weight again, and drain my body down to 130 pounds. 6 weeks later. So it's definitely been taxing my body, but I'm just glad we got that out the way.
Yeah, for sure. And like we say, the fight did take place the third time lucky. Jonathan Oquendo, Saturday night in the bubble. In your own words, it wasn't the statement that you wanted to make. Just tell us about the fight from your angle. Obviously, it was a it was a tough fight. Even though you pretty much won every round, it was a grueling type of fight.
It was grueling, yeah, definitely. For the most part, I showcased that I still had, sharp boxing abilities. I just believe that once he knew that he couldn't obviously outbox me, that the fight started to get rough and dirty, and to the point where my eye was greatly damaged. And I thought, even after the fight, when I went to go see a doctor, I thought I couldn't see out of my eye because of the blood, but it came back that it was actually far more severe than that. It wasn't so much of the blood; it was so much of the that my eye was my eyeball was basically scratched up, and they said that they also found an old facial fracture in my face that didn't properly heal. So from all the all the impacts and the headbutts, that was actually also messing with my sight, and it almost came down to an issue that Cal Brook had in the past with his orbital bone. But luckily, my orbital bone wasn't broken or anything, but it was definitely some damage done to my eye, more than just the blood in it. So the doctor said it was just I actually got lucky that the fight was stopped when it did, because if I would have prolonged it, it probably would have been worse, and it probably would have been actually career threatening. But so I'm just grateful that I'm here today and my eye and body is healing. But yeah, man, it was definitely just a rough experience.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know that. So thanks for sharing that with us, because I think a lot of people are really not sort of sure. You know, when you said, and I'm going to just say it, when you said that you couldn't see, people were looking at you from what they could see, obviously not knowing about the eyeball damage, thinking, how can he not see? He looks okay. The cut doesn't look that bad. But, I understand.
It definitely wasn't, when I actually went, like I said, speaking to the doctor, I will say that it definitely wasn't so much of the blood. It was the fact that I had and I got all the records and documentations from the doctor, but it was more that my eyeball was basically more damage directly to the eyeballs, not so much of blood in my eye, and I could just easily just wipe my eye. I can see. No, it was so much that it was the cornea, whatever how you pronounce it, was scratched.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to make sure that I didn't have any issues with my retina. So yeah, it was more so much inside than basically what was shown on the outside.
Yeah, an internal injury. With Oquendo, I said it earlier on. He's not really a boxer. He's a brawler type kind of guy. He has that style that's very difficult to look good against. Did you underestimate him in any way?
No. Because like I said, we knew we like the game plan. We knew he was gonna come basically head first. I mean, not we didn't know that literally, but we knew he was basically gonna come straight and direct. So if you watch, that's why I kept taking a half step back, and I was timing him with the uppercut, because we knew that he was gonna come in, and he was gonna come in with his head down, and we was actually looking for him to throw like the overhand rights, because if you look at the punch stats, he didn't really throw jabs. He mainly was trying to just rush his way in. So we knew that he was gonna go head down first, onward in, and we were just basically trying to stay patient and just time him. And that's when I caught him with that one uppercut that put him down, because we knew what he was gonna do. So we definitely didn't underestimate him. But after a while, he just he knew that he couldn't really, like I said again, he wouldn't be able to outbox me. So of course, he was going to do anything by any means.
And earlier on in the show, I spoke of the incident that took place in the corner. It seemed to be a little bit messy for about 5 minutes. No one quite knew what was happening. Was it going to go to the scorecards? Was it just a straight DQ? I was listening to commentary.
Right.
I don't know if it was US commentary. I don't think it was ESPN Plus or whatever commentary. I had Christina Poncher and what's his name?
Manny
Robles.
Robles.
Manny Robles. And he said that how can he have a point deducted for use of the head and then also get punished again with a DQ a couple rounds later? It was just very confusing what was going on. Was it confusing for you, or did you know what was going on in the corner?
I had no idea. I myself thought it was confusing. I thought, if anything, that it would just go to the cards. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I thought it was just. So yeah, the whole DQ thing, it actually pissed me off, because I look at it like this: if it's going to be a DQ, they should have enforced that to begin with. You know what I mean? During the action, not after the fact. So I was actually confused. I thought it was just going to go straight to the cards, whatever. and I actually would have been fine with that, but. I necessarily was actually confused myself. Yes, everything still went in my favor, and I knew, I knew I was winning the fight and everything, but I didn't necessarily feel like I needed a disqualification to justify that. I'd rather have them just go to the scorecards and read off the judges' scorecards, if anything. So yeah, I was actually confused. I didn't know what was gonna happen. Everything, like I said, everything was just a blur up until after everything went on, when I went to look back, but. Yeah, I was confused just like everyone else.
Yeah, I agree. I think the scorecards seemed the right thing to do, but what do I know? But anyway, you mentioned
what do I know? I don't know where I was confused. Like, I don't know how the rules go these days.
And you mentioned, obviously, you've got this cut, you've got this can't remember the pronunciation, but this damage to the eye. How sort of bad is it? How soon do you believe it will heal?
It's crazy. As much criticism as I took about that whole situation, when I spoke to Bob directly after the fight, I told him that no matter what, I still wanted to. I just wanted to heal up, and I actually get back into training for Frampton. Bob kept literally telling me, no, you need to take time off. You need to take time off because you need to let your body heal. Because he basically pointed out the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I've been through the COVID-19. I've been to basically 3 training camps, and he just said that basically my body's been through a lot in just, you know, the recent months alone, and he just felt that it was only right for me just to take time off. But, you know, me being the person I am, I just said, you know, just give me like a week or 2 off, and, you know, I want to start talking about negotiations for the Frampton fight. But it was like I said, it was mainly my team around it that said, you've been through enough. You know, you need to rest. You need to take some more rest. So here we are now. But like I said, like I pointed out, even throughout all this criticism, I still felt that I have an obligation, and the obligation is to face Carl Frampton. But right now, I mean, I'm not saying the fight is not going to happen, but in terms of the time frame, you know, the fight is definitely out of my hands. But that's just who I am. You know, I still wanted to continue on and doing what was the roadmap, which was to face Carl Frampton.
Yeah, absolutely. And you shared a photo that I want to highlight. You shared a photo on Twitter, a text message from your wife Jennifer, which basically, right, you know, she basically said that she wants you to retire after the Frampton fight because she can't do this anymore. I'm not sure how many boxers would have put that out because I think it's very personal. But forget about that. I don't know. How does that affect you moving forward? Do you feel like you've now got one foot out the door?
No, you know what it was with that? That just goes to show you how severe that the injury alone it was. You know what I mean? I did get some you know, some kind of like a small backlash from my wife about that, but it just goes to show you that it wasn't just like the injuries. You know, they take a toll on your family, and that just, like I was just pointing that out to basically show that it wasn't like the blood. You know, you've seen, you and I both seen. I've been cut like a handful of times in fights before. So it wasn't the blood that stopped it. You know, it was the fact that she was more afraid of long-term damage in terms of my vision. Yeah. And you know, like I said, I have 2 daughters that are already disabled, and they basically need my full attention. And you know, my wife didn't want me to go through a state in life where I have to go on with like life-threatening injuries, and that's what that was mainly about. So, like, that's what I want to also, I'm glad we were speaking, because it wasn't so much of the blood. Like, I've been cut, like, at least a handful of times, probably 10 times worse. So, it wasn't the blood. It was mainly, my wife was more concerned of the more, like you said earlier, the internal damages and the long-term damages that go on from a fighter, you know, constantly being, head injuries, and as we've seen in the past, and all far worse. But I love the sport. You know, I wouldn't mind. You know, I would love to stay as long as I possibly can. But it's just one of those situations where I had to basically take a step back and just like really think about my future. I'm not saying that I had one foot out the door, but you know, when I like at the time when I hit, I was like, man, maybe I should really think about, you know, how long I want to stay in boxing. Of course, I want to continue to go on, but that's where that mainly came from. So much of me just having one foot at the door, but it just goes to show you that, you know, fighters go through a lot behind the scenes when people aren't watching. So I wanted to share that insight with everyone out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just coming down to the final thing, Jamel, and I appreciate you giving me some time. I know it's, the fight's out of the way now. You're very much, spending time with a family. So I apologize for gate crashing that momentarily. But
oh no, but like I said, man, you've always been a good friend. You've always been very supportive, and this is actually the first time of me actually speaking out. So I'm glad that I have at least I can get a chance to really tell the full story after everybody's calmed down and I got my senses together and my head is clear. But no, it's not an issue, man. Like I said, anytime you want to speak, as long as I have the time, I have no issue doing it, man. But thank you for just first of all, I just want to tell everyone, I just want to thank you for at least reaching out to check up on me and see how I was doing, not just to talk or do an interview. You actually took the time to see how I was doing as a real friend, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I messaged you after the fight, and to be honest, I messaged you after every fight, I think, anyway, Jamel, within about half an hour of the bell, or even sooner, But just wrapping it up, if you've got any closing words to our listeners, obviously, I appreciate, like I say, your time, and you said it yourself, you're telling sort of the full story here to, UK guys are going to hear this. What's your message to those, just before we close it out?
My message is this, man. Like I said, I'm still very disappointed how the fight ended, of course. But I greatly appreciate those who stuck by me. As anyone who knows me, they know. Or I'd rather go out basically flat on my shield. I've been through worse. I mean, the Shavkov fight, I was busted up. I had a concussion. I thought that was the worst it can get, but. It is what it is. At the end of the day, I still want to continue on my career. So let's put that out there. I still want to continue on my career. I just want to, right now, just give me like a couple of weeks. Let me just refresh my body. And more importantly, the Carl Frampton fight, that's the number one agenda on the table. No matter what anyone says or anyone thinks, that fight will be on the agenda. I just can't tell you the time frame now, but I know for a fact, though, Top Rank did mention to me that will be my next fight. There will be no more tune-ups or whatever you may want to call it, and no more interference. Carl Frampton is definitely next. And I just wanted to also say thank you to Carl Frampton for reaching out as well. He's a true gentleman. But, I'm still the same guy, still the same fighter, still the same Jamel Herring. My personality or my love and views hasn't deferred from this past weekend. And that's pretty much about it.
And I don't think that they ever will change. You are a good guy now, and you always have been, Jamel. Listen, it's always a pleasure speaking with you, my friend. Thank you for your time. Congrats on the win. That's the main thing, and I hope that we speak again soon enough.
Oh, we will speak again. Hopefully, we will speak once I'm going to actually go to Top Rank, and I'm going to actually pressure them to make this fight as soon as possible. I want to put on paper. I want a contract signed, and I want a fight date. So definitely, once we get that done, I definitely would like to speak to you in terms of that. And hopefully we will speak again after the Carl Frampton fight. So, yes, man. But thank you, man. I appreciate you reaching out.
Okay, and this wraps up episode 256 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. A huge thank you to our two guests on this week's show, the undefeated super-middleweight prospect Willy Hutchinson, and of course the reigning WBO Super-Featherweight world champion Jamel Herring. I really am glad that I got to speak to Jamel in the end, and he cleared up some of the confusion that surrounded his fight, of course. Honestly, one of boxing's true good guys is Jamel Herring. There has been one or two pieces of news break whilst we've been recording the show. Top Rank have announced an unbelievable schedule for October. It kicks off on October 3rd when super lightweight contender Jose Zepeda takes on former titleist Ivan Baranchyk, former world titleist. The following Friday, which will be October 9th, we get to see Emmanuel Navarrete move up in weight and challenge for the vacant WBO Featherweight world title against the excellent amateur and unbeaten professional Ruben Villa. The following Saturday, which will be the 17th, we get to see a true super fight. Vasily Lomachenko takes on Teofimo Lopez in a lightweight unification. The following Friday, which will be October 23rd, we get to see Artur Beterbiev defend his two world titles against top contender Adam Daines. And then October 31st, Halloween night, we get to see Naoya Inoue defend his two world titles against Aussie Jason Maloney. In other news, Nathan Gorman's heavyweight clash with Richard Lartey has been pushed back. He was originally supposed to box Lartey this weekend, but the African fighter didn't get his medical done in time. That fight will now take place on the Liam Williams, Andrew Robinson undercard on October 10th. And finally, the World Boxing Super Series have announced that their cruiserweight final will take place on September 26th between Junior Dorticos and Maris Bradis. That one's going to take place in Germany. But that's about everything from myself now. I want to thank you, the listeners, for tuning into this week's show. Remember to tell a friend to tell a friend. Stay safe, people. Enjoy your weekends, and we shall see you all again next week.